here with Brian, and we are in his vintage renovated Airstream. What year is your Airstream?
So this is a 1968.
Okay. Wow. And what made you decide to redo an Airstream?
I wanted to spend a lot of money.
That's a great answer.
That's a great answer.
Great answer.
Because I'm sure that's what happened.
Yeah.
No, you know, we've always just loved Airstreams. You know, they're iconic. You know, I think we've all seen them for a long time, and something about taking something out of a field and redoing it and putting it back on the road is, I don't know. I guess that's just kind of a fun thing to do. So
I guess that would be the next question. Where did you find the rig at?
So in central Kansas.
Central Kansas.
Yeah, in Marion, Kansas.
Okay,
So,
and it was just sitting out in the field. People just wrote it off as.
Yeah, you can find them in a variety of places. There's actually a guy, airstreamguy.com. Interesting. He finds them in fields and will basically repurpose them and then flip them for a little bit of profit. So,
I know you was telling us that you had to remove the shell from the chassis and completely rebuild the chassis. Tell us a little bit of what that took.
Yeah, so that took a lot of work, a lot of fun work, but a lot of definitely time. So they call it a shell-off renovation. So you essentially disconnect you remove the interior skins, and then you cut bolts that hold it down to the flooring, and then you use a gantry up through the vents and chain hoist, and you pull the shell up, pull the floor and the chassis away from the trailer, and then do all the renovation. This one actually needed a brand new frame. And so there was lots of rust and rot. In fact, the A-frame of the trailer was almost disconnected. I didn't know that at the time. Towing it home, it was kind of a dangerous situation, I guess.
So you totally rebuilt the frame.
Yep, welded a new
put
frame.
a new floor on.
Yep, new tanks.
Set this back down on it.
Yep, put the shelves back in, and all new insulation. Basically the original stuff of the trailer is the exterior skin, the windows, and the interior skin, and then these upper cabinets here that are behind you. Those are original, but beyond that, that's pretty much everything else in it's new. So.
And it took you said, I know your full-time job.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you to get the renovations complete?
About 5 years total. If you probably sum up all of the hours, I bet it was probably a couple of years.
Years renovation.
Yeah.
Well worth it. I'll hand you that. Yeah. Well worth it. We love seeing somebody take something old and bring it back to life, and you did. And absolutely amazing job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah,
tell us a little bit about the woodworking here. You were telling us a little bit about it earlier.
Yeah, I come from a family of woodworkers. In fact, interesting story about this trailer. Five generations in my family has worked on this trailer, believe it or not. Had a grandpa that passed away at 102. He was sharpening drill bits towards the end of his life, just sitting in a chair watching us work. And then my brother's grandson was tapping on it with a plastic hammer. So we've had, about 5 generations of our family work on it, which makes it even that much more special. So, yeah, this is all walnut made at my brother's shop. So he helped me glue it up and then wide belt sand it. It's an interesting design piece here. There's a bullet here that someone had shot the tree, and we just left it in there. It's kind of supposed to give a feeling of kind of hunting, fishing, cabin-esque trailer. So we thought a bullet fits in well.
Yeah.
You told us that so far, and we're at the lake at Hillsdale Lake in Kansas, and we saw you pull up a couple nights ago, and I told Sherry, I said, I've got to go talk to that guy because that is a cool looking camper. I'm really into that. So kind of walk us through. I know you used a lot of nautical stuff in here, so kind of walk through and talk to us a little bit about the heater and the galley, and I'll just call it a galley because I feel like we're sitting in kind of a boat too, and a camper. So
it is a propane only, and it's an ice heater in that it has a small computer fan, only draws about less than 0.2 amps, which is in comparison to a forced air heater, they're an energy hog. Dual vented, basically there's dual tubes here that separate the combustion chamber from the inside of the trailer, which doesn't bring in moisture. Of course, when you burn propane, it produces a lot of moisture in the rig. And so that was a really nice addition. They use them a lot in sailboats, and this trailer, frankly, is not that big, so it heats it really well. while renovating it, worked on it some days out in the teens and 20s, and I could bring it up into the 60s when it's about
Wow.
teens out, which is
That's
pretty
awesome.
pretty remarkable.
better than some my
Yeah.
rig does.
Yeah. Now it's slow. Of course,
Yeah,
your forced air heater
sure.
heats it up a lot faster. So if you're patient and can wear a puffy jacket, you can, in a couple hours you can bring it up.
Real
So
quick before I forget, how long is this trailer?
this is a 24-foot trailer.
And you're basically, since you've been here, I know you're plugged in, but you've used no power. You're running
Yeah.
all off on your. So tell us a little bit about your solar setup.
Yeah, so we've got 480 watts of solar on the roof, and then we have 400 amp hours of Battleborn lithium batteries. So 100 amp hour batteries. All Victron products, so it's got a Victron Multi-Plus inverter converter combined unit, so it'll charge the battery bank, and then also, it's got 3,000 watt inverter, and we can power the air conditioner and do all sorts of stuff with it. So now, of course, you can't run the air conditioner very long,
Sure.
on 400 amp hours, but which
And
was
you
just
said you were
outstanding.
talking about increasing your solar by putting some panels on your truck.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna add 300 watts on the back of I've got a topper on
Yeah.
the Super Duty, and so I'm gonna do that, and you can use, large gauge wire and connect back to the battery, to the solar charge controller.
So you're basically going to have enough solar power to run your air conditioner whenever you want to.
I think so, yeah, I
Yeah.
think so, yeah.
Oh,
My
that
only
is
limitation right now is having enough panels, and of course,
Yeah.
24-foot Airstream doesn't have a lot of real estate on the,
No.
Yeah.
on the top.
Right.
Well, that sure would add by using the top of your truck to add some solar panels on is a smart idea.
I think so, and I think what'll be nice about that is you can pull the truck forward in the sun, and if you've got your trailer in the shade, at least you have 300 watts producing, and you're
Yeah.
not heating up your rig.
Yeah,
And you
because that's the deal with solar. You have to be out in the
Yeah.
sun. You can't be in the shade. So
Yeah, so that would also open up the possibilities of parking the rig in shade and then still
Exactly.
being able to get the
Yeah,
solar.
so you can kind of position your truck around, or we could connect, yard panels. But
Yeah.
I like them secured because they tend to walk off. If
Yeah,
if
oh,
you
yeah.
leave 'em out,
Yeah.
so.
Well, we're going to do just a little walkthrough with you and just kind of explain to us because I noticed you have an auto.
So the Isotherm Cruise is a marine fridge that they put in yachts. It's 12 volt and 110. And frankly, with a 12 volt system I have here, that ends up using about roughly 100 watts an hour at the most when it's running, when the compressor's running. Once it's up to speed, the solar, keeps up with
Keeps
it
up with
without any problem at all.
And what size did you say that refrigerator?
So the right side is the refrigerator, it's 5 cubic feet, and the left side's the freezer, and that's 2 cubic feet.
That's
So-
a nice
Yeah,
size
see, I've never seen
refrigerator.
that. That's a great idea to have.
Our
in an
issues, we like to boondock, and of course it's hot up high at elevation in Colorado, and the propane fridges, I don't know if you guys have had the same experience, but they just struggle when it gets real hot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the 12 volt
They can't
system,
keep
as long as you can power them, works pretty well, and this is a pretty efficient unit, so
Altitude is also another issue with those systems.
absolutely, yep, agreed. So that's a good
Well,
deal.
that kind of goes to the next question. So you guys, would you rather campground or boondock?
Both.
Both?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the way we are.
Yeah, I enjoy people,
Cruise.
of course, and in campgrounds there's a lot of camaraderie,
Yeah.
and you can't beat a campfire with some new friends, and that's a lot of fun.
That's how you find
Yeah.
new friends is around the campfire.
But of course, there's not a lot of great trout fishing in campgrounds,
Yeah.
so it's nice. It's nice to get
Be able
away.
to get off to the streams. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the stove you have, is that a marine? Or is that
I don't know if it's marine specific or not. A 2-burner propane stove. I think they're fairly standard. Obviously some of the bigger rigs have 3 burners or more.
Sure.
But
I like all the counter space because you have an enormous amount of counter space.
probably
And you
more
said,
than I have in my rig?
yeah, and you said part of that was one of the reasons why you went with that shorter
absolutely. We
profile
wanted
refrigerator, so
yeah.
you had that.
wanted a side-by-side fridge for that very reason. Because I tell you, the kids, they bring cell phones and iPads and books and you name it. And so there's just
And that's
never
an
enough
enormous
places to
amount
put
of
stuff. And we like
counter
it.
space.
Don't be getting into the stuff here.
Don't be getting
Um,
these books.
We, so we like to cook too, and of course having that extra counter space.
And I'm curious about the stained glass that you have in here.
Yeah, the previous owner of this trailer, I've actually met him at an Airstream rally. Really nice guy, and he was really into leaded glass. And so there's 2 windows here, and this is supposed to look like sunrise and the aft side of the trailer is supposed to
Sunrise.
look like sunset.
I see.
So
Sunset.
if you're outside, you can actually see the sunbeams, and I thought that was kind of
That
a
is
nice.
Yeah.
clever,
So,
yeah.
so it's kind of fun to take some of the creativity of the former owners in these old trailers and carry it forward if you can.
Yeah,
Sure.
I like that.
So that was
I like
our
that.
that was kind of our hat tip to the guy that worked on this before.
Now this looks like an original door.
It is. You can tell by all the patches in the screen. It needs
Yeah.
to be screen on. So, we were in Michigan, and I think mosquitoes are the state bird of Michigan as well
Yep.
as Minnesota, and we needed to make a makeshift patch. But yeah, original door and everything. For sure.
Man, it is. This, even the flooring you chose for in here just goes. It just all goes together. You did a fantastic
It's
job
a
on this.
Great renovation.
Now in the bathroom, I noticed you actually have tile.
I do.
And
yeah.
what did you use to get that tile to adhere and stay with something going down the road, creating a hurricane effect every time you pull it?
You know, tiling in an earthquake's never a good design concept. Is it? So, and these little trailers, I'm sure all of them, bounce around pretty good. So what we ended up doing was 4mm glass mosaic. So it's fairly thin glass mosaic. And there's two products that I think made it work out well. And one is called Muscle Bound. And Muscle Bound is think of like double-sided tape. And so it's essentially a 12-inch wide double-sided tape. You put that on the plywood, and then you seam tape it, seal it, just kind of like a zip system of construction. And then you adhere your tiles to that. And then we used what is essentially swimming pool grout. So it's a silicone grout, so it stays flexible all the time.
Oh, yeah, it never really
and
cures out.
Total pain to put in place, but
Oh,
once you
yeah.
get it there, and then it's in pretty good
That's
shape.
an idea.
That is
So,
an
so if
idea.
you're going to do backsplashes or things where you want to have faux tile,
Yeah.
but it certainly does great for
Well,
waterproof.
see, we
and-
learned
That's
stuff from
great.
here too, because
Yeah.
we were just
Great.
talking about in my rig this
Yeah,
morning,
there's some-
replacing some
There's some
backsplash.
renovations we want to do, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people thought it would be too heavy, having tile, and particularly in the rear part of the trailer with
Yeah.
tongue weight. And I weighed all the products, and we have about 200 pounds total of whole bathroom components with all of
Oh,
everything
wow, that's
included.
not bad at all.
so what is your total weight for this camper?
So it's 5,200 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's got a tongue weight. Depending on if I have 60 gallons of fresh water up here in front. If there's water in it, of course, that increases the tongue weight. But dry, it's around 500 pounds, 600 pounds of tongue weight. So right at about 10 to 15% of the total trailer weight, which makes for safe towing.
Oh, absolutely.
What is your freshwater capacity for?
So we have 60 gallons of
60
fresh water.
gallons of
Yep,
fresh.
60 gallons of gray water. We've got
Okay.
two 30-gallon tanks underneath the floor inside the frame.
Okay.
And then there's 40 gallons of black water in the back. So this is like a California king. So I've had my 3 kids, full-grown son, and then 2 high school daughters squeeze in here. Of course they
Okay.
complain about it, right?
Sure.
But,
Well,
better
what
than the
about
ground,
him?
right? Yeah. Yeah, and this will drop down, and a couple different configurations. This is a spring-filled compression, the pedestal
Oh,
is
yeah.
from boating.
Yeah.
And so it's a 2-stage. It drops down flat, and then of course you'll notice this triangle here to allow you to pass through.
Sure.
I've got a small board in the cabinet that'll drop an inset. So I spin this, and I can drop an inset, and then you've got essentially a California king bed. So 2 for sure comfortably,
Oh,
and
yeah.
3, so long as they're not real big people.
Yeah.
So then this bed here pulls out.
I
It's
noticed
about
the
40.
pole.
Yeah, it's about 48 inches wide. So it's for 2 adults. It gives me an excuse to cuddle with my wife.
That's
So
right.
That's good.
Nothing wrong.
So that's good. So that pulls out, and then down below it is kind of modeled that off. The old Winchester shotgun boxes.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
that's just a finger joint on those boxes there. So.
So
And you had said something about the mattresses. What are you?
Yeah, this is natural latex. So.
to use the washboards.
for the door fronts.
I'll credit that to the pale ale. I have no idea. So a moment of rare. It's
It's an awesome idea,
It
and
is.
then it's chalkboard on the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, chalkboards on the bottom, and hopefully
I love
get
it.
the daughters to draw a few pieces on there.
Yep.
Pocket door.
So a fishing buddy that I've known for 20 years, he and I fly fish together, wanted to be part of the trailer restoration, and so he has rescued some barnwood from his family farm in the late 1800s out of Wisconsin, and so he offered to build this door for me just as a kind of a contribute to the renovation. And if it helps you put it on the table, it doesn't matter where you put it. So
Jeff, I got you good.
How's my hair look?
Your hair looks beautiful.
We're rolling.
Oh,
It's rolling.
it's B-roll stuff.
He's hero.
That's what we call that in biz.
and River's drinking some beer, so.
A little beer.
Out of it.
Just like his old man. You know? So